Yeah, hi everyone, Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist. I've got a story about Russia. Look out, the J-dubs in Russia. Jehovah Witnesses fleeing Russia. Crackdown. Seek shelter in Finland. There they are, happy as ever anything. Haven't got a clue, the poor deceived buggers, look. Oh, goodness me. At least they're eating their fruit. That's right, good stuff. Now, Lena Avilkin, at home in Turku, Finland, with her 3 children. She and her husband Sergei decided to flee Russia after the Supreme Court declared Jehovah Witnesses extremist, an extremist organisation, and effectively outlawed it in April. Now this is from the New York Times by Jan Korko and by David Higgins, July 16, 2018. Let's go. Turku, Finland. Sergei Alvakin, one of the hundreds of Russians now sheltering in Finland to avoid arrest as extremists in their home country, has no interest in politics or politicians and says that he has always followed the biblical injunction to render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's. But the 42-year-old father of 3 would still like President Trump to ask President Vladimir V. Putin of Russia a simple question when the two leaders meet in Helsinki, the Finlandish capital, on Monday. Why are Russians who pay their taxes, follow the law and embrace the Christian values promoted by the Kremlin being forced to flee their country? Because the Jehovah Witness organization is a cult. The Jehovah's Witness organization is a cult. We don't steal, we don't smoke, we don't drink, and always try to obey the law, said Mr. Alvakin, sitting in the kitchen of the apartment he recently rented for his family in Turku, a city west of Helsinki, while he waits for Finland's immigration service to process an application for asylum. But I am 100% sure that if I had not left, I would now be in prison. Well, they told you not to be a Jehovah Witness there, so you will go to prison if you are. Along with most of the other Russians who have sought shelter in Finland, Mr. Alvakin and his family are Jehovah Witnesses, a Christian. They're not a Christian denomination, they're a cult that the Supreme Court of Russia declared an extremist organisation and effectively outlawed in April last year. With issues like armed controls, the conflict in Syria and Ukraine, and Russian meddling. What, am I still on the same story? Is this the same? Yeah. In 2016 election, the United States expected to be discussed. It is unlikely that the two presidents will have time or the inclination to address the fate of Russia's Jehovah's Witnesses when they meet. Yeah, they're gone. But Mr. Alvakin and his wife Lena, their 3 children, school-aged children, and around 30 other Russians scattered in refugee camps and low-rent housing around Finland, are a stark reminder of the obstacles rarely mentioned by Mr. Trump but still are very real, that impede his desire to get along with Russia. The Russia court ruling, which put Bible-reading Christians who reject all violence in the same category of extremists as supporters of Islamic State, set off a harsh crackdown across Russia. The Jehovah Witnesses headquarters near St. Petersburg was seized by the state, prayer halls around the country were raided by the police, and scores of believers were arrested. What we have seen in Russia since the Jehovah Witnesses organization was banned outright last year is without doubt the most severe crackdown on religious freedom since the Soviet era, said Geraldine Fagan, the author of Believing in Russia, Religious Policy After Communism. In key respects, it is an uncanny reminiscent of late Soviet-era practice, Mrs. Fagan added. The State Department has said it is extremely concerned by the Russian government's action targeting and repressing members of religious minorities, including Jehovah Witnesses, under the pretense of combating. But Mr. Trump, who won the 2016 election with strong support from evangelical Christians, has so far remained silent on the matter. The Jehovah Witnesses would have had nothing to do with that election. Let's make that straight. Finland, like the rest of Europe, has years of experience dealing with asylum seekers, but until Russia branded Jehovah Witnesses extremists, those seeking refuge in the country were largely from the Middle East and Africa. There's a picture of the fella there, between a rock and a hard place. Oh well, Anu Kapri, an official in the Asylum Division of Finland's Immigration Service, said that 193 Russians have applied for asylum in 2016, including homosexuals who said they faced persecution and others who fled for economic reasons. In 2017, after crackdown on Jehovah Witnesses began, That number rose to 405. An additional 240 Russians have applied so far this year. Before 2017, only a handful of Jehovah's Witnesses from Russia requested asylum in Finland. Mr. Karpi said applicants need to establish that they faced a real risk, not just a fear, of persecution in order to gain asylum in Finland. The few applications processed so far have been rejected. They're being rejected. And Mrs. Karpi said that while Russia was certainly enforcing measures against Jehovah's Witnesses, the severity of the campaign varied from region to region. We look at every application case by case, she said. At the moment, the situation does not seem to be that every Jehovah's Witness is under that threat of persecution, but we follow the situation closely. If anyone has been persecuted, then everyone would be granted asylum. After initially targeting only male Jehovah's Witnesses, Russian law enforcement agencies this month arrested a woman, Anastasia Polyakova, a follower of the denomination in the Siberian city of Omsk. Her husband Sergei was also arrested after being severely beaten during a police raid on their home. Forum 18, a Norwegian group that promotes religious freedom, reported that more than 50 Jehovah's Witnesses are now under investigation in Russia on criminal charges. This is how defiant these Jehovah's Witnesses are. Unlike many religious groups, Jehovah's Witnesses, who number more than 170,000 in Russia and more than 8 million worldwide, have a policy of staying politically neutral and have not assembled a powerful lobby machine in either Washington or Moscow. Very happy Jehovah's Witnesses there, look. Oh, the stubbornness. These are members of the cult family, Jehovah's Witnesses who fled Russia. The group's distaste for politics and sometimes idiosyncratic theology, which puts it at odds with many other Christian denominations, has made the denomination an easy target in Russia, and so it should be, where the Orthodox Church, a close ally of the Kremlin, views Jehovah's Witnesses as a heretical sect, and they are. Their beliefs are absurd, they're comical, because followers generally do not vote and have a long record of resisting military service and collaborating with the security services, and they have no allies in Russia's political and security establishments which have united against them. Mr. Alvakin's wife, Leno, recalled how doctors at a state hospital in Moscow where the couple took the daughter, Katyra, for cancer treatment as a baby had, after consultation with Russian prosecutors, told them to take your child away and let her die. That's probably a little bit stretched. After they refused to allow blood transfusions, well, that's right. If you don't want to have blood transfusions in the medical system, take your children somewhere else. They can't help you, which are banned by their faith, which is a false doctrine. The couple later found a private doctor in St. Petersburg willing to operate without transfusions, and their daughter is now a healthy 12-year-old who survived. The European Court of Human Rights ruled in 2013 that the hospital had violated human rights by divulging the medical record of Avilkin's daughter to Russian prosecutors, who had demanded that the public hospitals report all cases of Jehovah's Witnesses who refuse transfusions, and so they should. The issue of transfusions has been the centre of a long campaign of criticism by Russian foes of the denomination, because it's not a true doctrine, who includes some medical professionals and disenchanted former followers, but are mostly people close to and sometimes funded by the Orthodox Church. While the decision by Jehovah's Witnesses not to get involved in politics and their determination to live out the teachings of the Bible may be points in their favour in Russia, their lack of patriotic fervour and the fact that the group's worldwide headquarters is in the United States have made them deeply suspect in the eyes of the Orthodox Church and the Russian state. There's Valery Kilcock and his family live in a single room in Turku, sharing a kitchen with asylum seekers. Oh well. In Putin's eyes, they have no political value. What traditional values they may have are of no use to him if they cannot be co-opted, Mrs. Fagan said. Valery Kilcott and other Jehovah's Witnesses who fled to Finland said he had made a good living in Russia running a small construction company and had benefited from the stability brought by Mr. Putin's 18 years in power. We had a good life, he said. I was never against Putin, and if the authorities had not turned against us, I definitely would have stayed in Russia. This is what this religious cult is doing to people. Why go through this? Mr. Colcott, 55, now lives with his wife and 2 young children in a single room in the hulking building for refugees in Turku. They share a kitchen with asylum seekers from Syria. a committed atheist until he became a Jehovah Witness. He would have been better off staying an atheist as an adult. Mr. Kilcott said he had never imagined ending up as a refugee and had fled Russia only because he worried that the authorities might persecute him and his wife, a former follower of the Russian Orthodox Church, and seize their children. We understand that they could enter our house any day and take away our kids, he said. We had to leave, and so you should have. And so you should have. And that's it. That's that story. This is Dr. Jason W. Morrison, the latest from Russia. Bye for now. Yeah, Dr. Jason Morrison, theologist again. I just want to say thank you for watching the videos, and I hope you got plenty of self-rediscovery and freedom out of it. If you watched it on YouTube, please share or like, maybe even comment. If you watched it on Facebook, like, comment, share. But most of all, get out and live. This isn't a rehearsal. You've got a one-off life. Don't let your loyalty and your faithfulness blind you to the life that you should be experiencing. Till the next video, thank you for watching, and bye for now.